You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AFTERBUZZ TV's Dad's After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Dad's After Show.
Yeah. Welcome back, y'all, to Feed the Needy. Yeah, just correcting the lyrics again. Welcome back to AFTERBUZZ TV, our recap show of Dads on Fox. This is Season 1, Episode 6, My Dad's Hotter Than Your Dad. Real funny show. I am your host, Lauren Leonelli, and here with me is...
Kevin John.
And Jennifer Golden.
Yeah, holla. All right, so this was the 6th episode. We're getting into the nitty-gritty of this season. My Dad's Hotter Than Your Dad was super funny. There was
hilarious.
My favorite line thus far of the season was in this episode. We will get to it in a second, and I have a little backstory on it as well. But so you guys, obviously you liked it. As I always think we say every time we come back that it was this episode we just watched was funnier than the last. I think it's still the same.
I agree. Very funny.
Yeah, I thought this one was definitely funnier than the episode 2. Not the last one, but the one before that.
Right. Yeah.
This one was hilarious.
Though I missed that old finger one. I mean, I watched it, but I wasn't here to talk
show,
about
yeah.
it, and I'm kind of glad.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Why?
Because I don't like that topic.
Well, okay. You
What,
didn't
colonoscopies?
yeah.
fingers up the.
And then he died, and it was just weird, and I was.
So you didn't think it was? I mean, did you laugh uncomfortably, or did you?
I laughed uncomfortably, and I was like, "Stop talking about his butthole."
Well,
Well, I think that was it was an educational episode where they're just trying to inform men in their
That's true.
40s you need to get checked. I mean,
agree
I
with
see the
that.
little messages in there.
Subliminal,
are
totally.
Eli and
Exactly.
Warner in their 40s?
No.
Actually, they may not have been in. But anyways, men
No.
that are getting towards that age.
Not that. I mean, semantics. I was just out loud saying, "Did I miss something?" I don't think that they ever specifically
No,
said their
I
age.
don't
Yeah,
I just
that is
assume.
true.
I feel like I assumed they're like late 30s.
Mid to late 30s,
Yeah, I would say that.
Which is maybe when you get that sort of examination type thing. But I mean, it was a little gross out humor-ish, but it was still funny. And
It was funny.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine was actually in it. He was co-starring as the,
He was the
African American security guy, and he was in it.
I thought
and-
he was great, and we
Yeah.
talked about it last week, but since Jen wasn't
Paul
there,
Mabon.
we'll go over it. When he was like, oh, he recognized Warner and Camilla. He's like, hey, they went to school together. And then
Yeah.
remember, he's like, oh, your hair still smells good. I
Yeah,
thought he
I
was
do remember
funny.
that.
He was cute.
He was funny.
He had swag. That's why I remember. That stuff sticks out in my mind. Okay, so this episode is basically about them hiring a new office assistant because apparently Eli is the playa. And he, hooks up with all of them, and then they all end up getting mad and quitting. So Warner decides, this isn't going to keep happening. We're going to hire someone who is Eli-proof, as he called it, and it ends up backfiring in a roundabout way. So the episode starts off with Eli and his dad, and he's basically just like, dude, you are always in the way. You're making me late, even though they made a comment like, that he works 2 floors down, which I thought they alluded to. And then I think this was my confirmation, unless I missed something specifically before. He literally works he lives on top of the office. Or a couple floors
Which I didn't
above.
know either. I heard that in there, and I was like,
We thought that that's what it was. We weren't sure. And then for whatever reason, unless they specifically said something before that I missed, this was the solidification of that.
Right. I remember the one line that said something about the fact that he lived right where he worked.
Yeah.
Might have been when they were carrying that funny girl down the flight of
maybe
the elevator.
Yeah, because they were talking about. Yeah, I think that you're right. And I feel like Warner and Camilla live close as well. But they don't. They live in a house because we always get that establishing shot of their house from the outside. So I think they all live pretty close. But yeah, he's got like the bachelor life. He lives above where he works. He's like single guy. He's got like a lofty feeling apartment, and the cleaning lady comes and cleans for him. And then his dad, obviously, which we continue to see, it's like they're cramping their style. And how many different ways are we going to see
His
that?
dad is the biggest cock blocker there is.
Dude, and he's so like just cold and like negative and doesn't give in at all. And the sons, Eli and Warner, they're sensitive in their own ways. They're sensitive, and their dads are just not. So it's funny to see that play off. But here we see, you know, Eli trying to get his dad to go out. You're in the way all the time. You're making me late for work, whatever. And he's like throwing out funny lines like he's not going to Alcatraz because he was married to his mother for a while, and that was like jail. Or like, go to Chinatown. Well, all Chinatowns look alike to me. Which was, I mean, these, again, funny, racist jokes. Don't make that face, Jen the Jew.
What?
You made a face like that was like, ooh, you were like,
no,
you're like Republican all of a sudden.
Oh, no way. Please.
I think she just smelt the fart that I just had. So that's what the face was coming.
Are we going there?
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Are we going there right now? We're going to do that kind of gross out humor in this studio
Well,
tonight.
we were just talking about fingers and butts. So, I mean,
It's true.
that,
Hey,
it
that
led
was
right in.
That was the topic of the episode.
Yeah.
That is true.
So they, and obviously they bring this up a lot, but we did have an after show where we weren't sure about the name of their company. It is Ghost Child Games.
Yes, it is.
I saw it
correct
on
that.
their laptops or their
Yes, they always have it, and they have
thingamajiggers.
shirts and stuff, and then they always talk about it, but for whatever reason that after show we were forgetting it's Ghost Child Games. I wonder, we have a special guest coming in next week, so you guys should tune in. I wonder if we should ask that special guest if there's a significance behind that name. I mean, it's probably maybe the writers, but maybe he'll know.
We could also ask the writers, and
Or
get some
we could
inside
ask the
scoop.
writers, because we had John Viner, one of the writers and executive producer.
I think he was executive producer of that particular episode.
Okay, well, we could ask him. We've got some ins. We bring you the inside knowledge, yo.
Yep.
We know the right people.
We are lining up some very special guests, and I think you guys should keep tuning in, is all I'm saying.
We know things.
We know things, and we're going to share them with you. That's why you watch. So we then we see Eli in the office, and the girl, and with Warner, the blonde girl that is being broken up with by Warner. Warner's breaking up with her for Eli because he clearly, I don't know, what do you think he does that pisses these girls off?
I don't know what he does to get them in the first place.
What? I think he's kind of sexy for a ginge.
But like we
A
don't.
ginge?
We don't
Hold
really
on, what's a ginge?
a redhead?
A ginger.
Oh,
I'm only
sorry.
saying that because I like dark men. I tend to like dark
Oh, is
skin,
that so?
hair.
Yes.
Yes. hey. Hey,
Well,
Kevin John.
You said the swag thing about the other
Yeah.
guys.
You're picking up on what
But
she's putting
Right.
down.
I'm just saying, I think that there's something about Seth Green or Eli, who seems like he maybe has some similarities to Seth Green.
What I'm curious about, though, is like that interaction. We don't see it. We see a girl leaving his apartment,
I know,
or we hear
that's
him
what I'm
talking
saying.
about it. Like, I want to see it.
I want to see it too. That's what I want to see what goes down. I want to see him with this girl. I want to see what he does. My guess is that he's like typical bachelor, that he like woos these women, brings them over, does what he wants, has some fun, and then he kind of like pushes them off to the
Thank
wayside.
you for your
and
services.
They get pissed off.
But I think we got a glimpse of that when he was dating
That's-
the funny chick or
Yeah.
whatever it
Well,
was.
we did, but then he kind of liked her, and then he got serious with her on purpose to prove a point.
Right.
To his yeah.
So
yeah.
maybe there's always some weird specific situation, but I feel like in general, Eli's character is the type of guy who can pull a chick because he's got some sort of game that we're not seeing. Because I feel like he does.
I think so too. I think maybe we'll see it in other episodes because we're starting to talk more about him and his dating.
Yeah.
But it is kind of interesting. They are like video game creators. I would
Yeah.
guess they don't grow up. Like their thing is like not growing
They're like
up.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Right.
I don't know. I feel like there's some swag that he pulls, and he pulls chicks all the time. And this one in particular was like girl number 27 of the year or whatever, that was just like liked him. He pushed her off to the wayside. She got mad. Warner was like trying to let her down easily because it's an office environment. It's like uncomfortable. She gets mad and leaves. And
Wait, I think that he fires them because he's done with them.
oh,
That's why there's so many settlement checks.
she was no.
Because if you
Oh.
fire somebody, you have to have like reasonable cause for that. You can't just fire
Did they
somebody for
say-
no real reason.
Oh, were they firing her? Was she quitting?
Well, he was breaking up with her for him, which I think means you're also fired. 'Cause she had a
Okay.
box of stuff with her.
Right. Oh,
What do you
good
think?
call.
Yeah, I didn't get the notion that he was firing her. I obviously got the notion that it was,
Ending.
that it was ending the relationship, and I think that kind of just insinuated.
But I got the feeling that what it was really was that the relationship was super short. Like it was like, you know, they went
Right.
on a couple dates or whatever. So it was like
Definitely
the kind
short-lived.
of yeah. It wasn't like because I feel like it was something more serious. But yeah, I don't know. That's a good point, Jen. Maybe they were firing her, and maybe that's what happens. But also, I feel like if they quit, they also could go to HR just as easily and say like, I quit because this guy is a jerk, and also because he's sexually harassing me
Right.
or exploiting me in whatever sexual way.
But-
Or they could be mad because they're getting fired and go just to get back. Either or.
Right.
There's obviously these settlement checks that are happening, and the HR lady is hilarious.
Hilarious.
I was on the set one day, and I'll just say,
Wait.
that actress was there that day, and she is she's like that in real life. She's absolutely hilarious, and I'm so sorry I'm blanking on her name right now.
You know who she
Actually, her
reminded
name
me
is
of?
Lauren.
It is Lauren.
Her
yeah.
first name is Lauren, and she reminds me a little Kristen Wiig. Or Wiig, or however you say
Kristen
her last-
Wiig.
Don't you think? Like a little bit, not the way she, just like her
Mannerisms or
her mannerisms a little, and her comedic timing,
Yeah.
and her delivery, and
see, she reminded me of Brett Butler.
oh,
That's before your guys' time.
also
you may not know.
I know who she is.
No,
Okay.
I don't.
Okay, well,
Grace Under Fire. Actually, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Disclosing my
She-
age.
Yeah,
she was
no,
a
I know who
stand-up
that is.
comedian, and she was
Yeah.
like, she had a masculinity to her.
Exactly.
So did this woman. You know who else she was reminding me of is Jane Lynch's Sue Sylvester
Yes.
from Glee.
Well, just
Yes.
anything masculine.
Like a
'cause she was
masculine,
very-
yeah. She totally took
She
charge.
reminded me
in
of like
her
a
suit.
gym coach or
when she
something.
drank the coffee, and they're like, that coffee's like
180
100
degrees.
and she didn't even blow on it. That was really funny. I also liked the little joke they had about how they think it's annoying that people tell. Who was that? Eli saying that the girl that he was breaking up with or dating, she talked about her dreams and it was really annoying or something. And then
Yes.
Camilla was doing it to Warner. She's
Yes.
like, and you were there. And it's totally the typical dream. I thought that was funny how they're like, and it was you, but it wasn't. And then we were trying to run, but we couldn't.
Yeah.
And like, that's so totally how like I relive. And I always retell my dreams. So I was like, in
I
that
do too.
moment, I was like, is that annoying? Should I not do that? I'll call my friend and be like, oh my God, I had this dream. And then you were totally rude to me. And I'm like, I think maybe they might think, oh my God, why are you retelling me? This is just a dream. It's not real. But it feels so real.
It does feel so real, and sometimes they're just really crazy. Like, I have really vivid, crazy dreams, so I always tell people. But I tell the particular people that I know want to know, not just anybody that will listen.
What if they don't want? Because obviously Camilla thinks that Warner wants to know, and clearly he doesn't.
He should. He's her husband.
Yeah, but
And he was in the dream.
But just
He's
because
like
you're
a
someone's
star.
husband doesn't mean you want to listen to everything that
Well,
they have to say.
You
Jen-
sign up for that when you get married. Sorry.
Jen, you might need a wake-up call because I feel like maybe your friends don't want to hear your dreams. Anyway,
It
that
was all a dream.
I used to read Word
Word
Up
Up
magazine.
magazine.
Well, we like to
Yeah.
rap Biggie on this show.
Exactly. Big-
So back to dads. I thought that it was also and speaking of masculine characters like Biggie and the HR lady, I loved her Jesus of Nazareth line. The guy that walked in with the sandals.
Oh my
And
God.
She's like, "Hey, Jesus of Nazareth, we don't wear sandals in the office." I was like,
That was
Jesus
hilarious.
of Nazareth.
Because I
So
didn't get it
funny.
initially because I didn't see the sandals until I think there was a
They panned
wider,
down.
and then they
Yeah.
panned down, and I was like, oh my
He was
God.
rocking some Jerusalem cruisers, and she thought she'd call him out on it.
It was hysterical.
They were horrible. So we've got those two things happening. We've got the HR lady and that whole aspect, and then we've got this new assistant who Eli sees and is like, what is going on? Because you know what he's thinking. He's like, oh well, we'll fire this girl. We're gonna bring in another hot new
And
assistant.
a hot new chick for him to whatever.
Just keep going with.
Yeah.
And obviously Warner gets the drill, tries to cut him off. And he still, even though he doesn't like this woman, Eli still wants to be like, well, I still got it. And then he walks over to try and see if she'll pay attention to him. And he walks into the 1970s perfume wall. And he was like, oh, that was really funny. And so the dads come in. The dads always show up at the office. I know that Crawford lives, or that David, Eli's dad, lives right above, and he's bored, so he probably comes in and whatever. But then Crawford's always there, and so is Camilla, so that also makes me feel like they live close. It's a little weird that they're always there. I don't mind it. I just am like, sometimes I'm like, why are they
Well, I
here?
guess if you owned a company and your parents like lived nearby
That's
or
true.
in the building,
Literally
Yeah.
a floor below or
Right.
before, yeah.
No, but I'm saying like even Camilla, I mean, I guess she just comes by if it's close or whatever.
Now,
but
real quick, does Camilla do anything in this?
Well,
Does she
he
have a
asked
job?
her-
I never knew
I don't think she does.
he asked
She
her
doesn't,
how was home, and she said meh, and she's like, how was work, and he's like meh, and so home is where she is. during the day.
Yeah,
So
and
she's okay.
I have to point something out about that line as well, because she's also kind of eager to get Crawford out of the house because she's there all day and he's there, and so there is always this battle of how are we going to get these guys busy, or they're not going to leave forever, but how are we at least going to get them out of here? And there was a funny line in there where she said, "Can you please get your dad out of my house?" And he goes, "Your house?"
Yes,
And he
I
laughed,
cracked up.
which it was very subtle. But what I liked about that is he was like, "Dude, you're just it was like them being inappropriate. That was like their way of being like, I make the money. This is my house. I own this house, not you. Like I paid for this house," and I thought it was hysterical.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I guess something we may get to later, but I did notice Warner definitely standing up for himself a little bit more, and because there was a time when he was leaving. This is a little bit later, which I'm sure we get to, and she was like, "Oh, don't forget to do," and he was like, "Honey, I'm not doing that this time."
Yeah,
Like,
he
you
said
did-
no.
Or he said no. I was
he's
like,
like, "It's
did
not
he just
that
say
kind of
no to
trip."
Camilla?
Yeah.
Like I couldn't believe it. I'm like, dude, he's growing balls.
I know. I liked it. I like when we
Yes.
can see that every now and then. I think it's good too because, he's a smart man. He owns a business. He's married to her, so
Yeah.
clearly he's got something
got-
going on.
yeah.
We need to see a little so we can respect him. But for all intents and purposes, the story, the show, and the sitcom type, storytelling they're doing, she's in charge. The woman always wears the pants, and the wife always wears the pants in a sitcom relationship, and they do it well. They're perfect. They cast perfectly for that, I think, in this situation. So we see that both the dads kind of like this Janet character, the new assistant, that Eli's obviously not going to go after. And now that their problem has turned, now they're like, their dads are going to be hanging around the office and they're trying to get with this woman, and they're going to make it awkward, and oh my God, we're going to have a whole new set of problems. And this is where my funny line came in. The funniest line, I thought, not my funny line, I wish I wrote it, but it didn't, was when David goes up to her. He wants Crawford to be the wingman. He's talking to her. He's showing her the $2 bill. And then he's like, "So why aren't you married? Bum vagina?"
Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm sorry. I thought that was hysterical. I laughed out loud. Funniest line ever. And remind me in News and Gossip to tell you a little bit more about that line. But
the funniest line to me was around that same part. It was basically when Eli's dad was getting ready to ask her out, and she's like, "Okay, great. So what time are you gonna pick me up?" And he was like, "We're meeting there," or something like that.
Totally. They were, and then on the dates too, they were very awkward. Clearly haven't dated in a while. Didn't know what they were doing, but we see them on the date. And they're cutting back and forth. I like when they do this. They did this the episode, The Old Finger, where they were cutting in between each doctor visit.
Yeah.
And they did that again here, and I kind of like that style. It was just nice to see the juxtaposition of each one of them. We've also seen them out to dinner together, both the dads, and how awkward they are. And that did not, they did not fail again in this. They were both totally awkward and weird. They were bringing up inappropriate date, jargon. It was just like bizarre. And then they both wanted to split the check at the end. It was like, oh my God,
That
boys,
was hilarious.
these guys need coaching.
Were you surprised by who Janet picks as her favorite?
Yes, because I would have picked Crawford.
I also would have picked Crawford, and you would think an older lady by then would know what is right and what is wrong.
Why did she pick David?
Because that was like playing on the fact that like women like an asshole.
Yeah, I think so. A guy with more edge.
Women are always
but-
the
but-
nice guys never win.
Well, Crawford.
They do.
Crawford wasn't like. I guess he was.
Spelling contest.
He was not. They both were kind of like, not very gentlemanly.
Right.
But I guess David was less gentlemanly because
He
he's
was
so
crude.
cold. Yeah, he's more crude.
Would she call him dark or something like that? She says he was.
No.
She's like something dark about him.
I'm trying to see if I wrote any like funny.
I'm sorry. What about another funny part that just came to me was when he was getting ready to go up and talk to her, and he turns to Camilla and he was like, "How does my breast smell?" He's like,
Oh, yeah.
She's like, "It's age appropriate."
Oh yeah, that was a
Age
great
appropriate.
line.
I love that too.
Well, it was
hilarious.
funny because she was coaching him. We're talking about these guys needed coaching. Camilla decided to coach him. She's like, I'm going to get him out. And then also, Eli wanted to help, or Crawford. There's too many names in my head.
I know,
right now.
right?
Warner wanted to help Crawford, his dad, get her back because we hear and also the funny line when Crawford enters the room and says, "Do you guys have black neighbors?" "Oh, sorry, officer. There's been a mistake."
That was probably my favorite
mean-
part, just because of the stereotypes. And I think anytime they make a reference to any stereotype
so
at all,
funny. It's
I crack up.
So funny. So anyway, we see that, Warner wants to go help his dad out. He ends up looking like he's jacking off outside of her house because of the flowers.
Wait, can we go back real quick to Crawford having Jew friends coming over.
Oh yes, and he makes the
My
he
Jews.
puts the little
And he uses a
the
coffee.
yarmulke.
the
thing.
yarmulke, yeah.
Super cute.
So
His Yiddish group.
funny.
Like it really looked like a.
It did.
It did. It was good. That was
yeah.
a nice little touch. They sometimes they stretch a joke out and then they give those little spurts. Those are funny. So
That
now
was hilarious.
we know we've got to go
You
to
weren't offended
HR.
by that, were you?
Never.
No, of course not. Come on, Jen the Jew doesn't get offended by stuff like that.
I was like, hey, my people.
We now nice shout out for the people, right?
Yep.
The
So
Hasidic. Oh,
now
okay.
we're in HR, and now poor Warner has to go deal with. He's so nervous. Eli comes to save the day, and of course, this woman takes full advantage of him, the HR woman, and she calls him carrot crotch, which I thought was hysterical. And then everything ends up going back to normal because he says, he gets him out of this sticky mess by saying, go out on a date with me. And she said, I'll pick you up. Wear something that you can take off
Something
easily.
that's not complicated.
Wear
or
something
something.
that's not
There you
complicated.
go.
And he took a hit. He took one for the team. Good job, Eli.
Yep.
Took one for
That's
the
a
team.
good friend right there.
That
I
is a
liked
good
it.
friend.
I thought it was a super funny episode. Those lines, again, there's always some zingers that I love.
Yeah.
And we've got some exciting guests coming in next week, so make sure you tune in for that. Anything else, you guys, about the episode? No? I thought we hit it all.
I think we pretty much covered it.
I want to see more of
comprehensively.
Lauren, the actress that played the HR girl.
Me too. One of my favorite lines was when she referred to what he was doing outside of Janet's window was that he was like tugging at his tiny.
Yeah, tugging at his tiny.
I love that.
So,
Oh yeah, but she had those different descriptives for
Yes,
being
they were
like she was like
hysterical.
you're pecking the pickle or
No,
you're-
yeah, something
or
pulling
something.
your pickle or
yeah, that was
She
hilarious.
was, yeah. And of course, then, like we said, Eli comes and says, hey, all of these other cases are due to me. Let me come and save the day. And then
Right.
he takes her out, which is so funny that she's such a stickler. And then she ended up going out with him.
I would have loved to see that date.
Maybe we will. All right, let's move into
Prediction.
some quick
No.
news and gossip.
AfterBuzz TV News.
Okay, so we've got more news on the fate of dads. We talked about how they got ordered for 6 scripts, and that's a good sign for them possibly getting picked up for a full season. And we saw that Brooklyn Nine-Nine got picked up, but that only happened before on a technicality, I think, because they're a single cam, and in order to order more episodes, they work on a slower or faster schedule. So I think that they've got more time to order episodes production-wise if they wait a little and order more from dads. So what that means is it doesn't mean that they're not picking up dads. It just means that there's a little more time to decide based on how the schedule works. And the executive producer, Mike Scully, says, just keep tuning in. He says, like, anytime you're doing a show that's new, the first 6 episodes, you're kind of finding yourself. You're still improving. So I think it looks positive, and we know from an inside source at Fox that they really like dads. So hopefully that's a good positive sign. We'll keep you posted on that. And then I'm talking about my favorite line of the episode, which was the bum vagina line. My inside source on the set told me that every time they tape, they do all hands in, 1, 2, 3, bum vagina. That's like their cheer before every live tape. Yeah.
Bum
because
vagina. And where did that start from?
the writers, they thought it was funny from the episode. So every time they go like, okay, guys, huddle, 1, 2, 3, bum vagina. And then they go tape.
I'm bummed that I went to the taping Tuesday, and I'm bummed I didn't get to see them start the taping and see that happen.
Let's cross our fingers for more shows to be picked up and more bum vagina cheers.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
All right. How about some predictions?
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
I'm predicting that the HR girl comes back and there's more with her. I feel like we're going to see her sprinkled throughout the season. And I want more of her because she's freaking hysterical.
Yeah, I predict that. Gosh, what's her name again? The Asian.
Brenda Song's character.
Yeah, I know we
Veronica.
didn't talk much about her this episode, but I predict that
She's
we
always
are
fun.
going to see a lot more of her. I really want
Yeah.
to see her character, and a lot of times she just has the funny dingers. But
Yeah.
I really want to. I'm predicting
Like a
that we're gonna-
storyline about her,
Exactly.
like an episode
A
about
backstory
her. Yeah,
or
I would
something.
love that too, and she's
Yeah.
great as well. So
Exactly.
I'm going to predict we're going to see more dating with the dads
yes,
in some way, shape, or form.
it was funny.
I know.
Yeah.
not just because I saw what the episode they taped this week was about,
Oh.
but I'm going to say that I think they're going to date or maybe be approached to
Maybe
date.
you have some inside info on that.
We have lots of inside info. We have a special episode we're going to be on next week at Friday at 5:30 PST, Pacific Standard Time. So tune in for that. We've got a special guest and lots of info to tell you guys. So please tune in and watch. Thanks for watching this week. Come back next week. I'm your host, Lauren Leonelli. You can find me at Lauren Leonelli on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Vine, and my website.
I'm Kevin John. You can find me on Twitter at Hey Kevin John, on Facebook, Kevin John Peters, and my website, itskevinjohn.com. Thank you.
And I'm Jennifer Golden. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Jen the Jew, and on Facebook as Jennifer Golden, and my website is jennifergolden.com.
Friday next week, guys. Don't forget, we got a special guest for you. See you then.
It was
From
all a
executive
dream.
Producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff. We would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz
you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.